A man with no motives is a man no one suspects. Always keep your foes confused.
If I told you to leave the capital right now and find Sansa and bring me her head, would you do it?
He wasn't involved in Joffrey's death, but you were.
It wouldn't matter to Cersei. She won't rest until my head's on a spike.
You gonna fight for him now?
You're a steward, you traitor's bastard. Give me an excuse.
I will answer injustice with justice.
If you thought this series was just going to be about Joffrey's death, you're very much mistaken. Oathkeeper, the 4th episode from season 4, packed in the plotline so tightly you're going to need the next half hour as much as Littlefinger needs an alibi. What an episode. In this week's Thronecast, we delve into the mind of producer Chris Newman to find out just how difficult it is getting Thrones from book to script to screen. And we break down the 4th wall and take a look inside the episode. Our brain boxes on Baratheon, Elio and Linda give us the lowdown on the biggest threat from the north, the White Walkers. And as ever, whether you like it or not, we're the first port of call for a sneak peek on the next episode. That's all on Thronecast, the hand-holding, theory-baiting, Walker-hating fan show for Game of Thrones on Sky Atlantic HD, the home of Thrones. Rachel Paris, Valar Morghulis.
Valar Dohaeris, Jamie.
Lovely. So, do we have our murderer?
But it seems it.
Littlefinger admitted to being a co-conspirator.
Yeah, he confessed. So it's all to do with the necklace.
Yeah, as we kind of hinted at last week.
He's really evilled it up this week.
He has. The way that it's shot, his voiceover cut to Olenna and Marjorie walking down that garden path. Even I'm bored of them going down that garden path. Olenna is as well.
It's the only place we ever see her.
Can we assume that they're the new friends that Littlefinger was on about?
Yes. I mean, they've obviously sort of been involved in the plot to kill Joffrey.
Yeah.
And I think because the Lannisters gave him a lot, and I think they must be promising him something substantial, something
It's pretty
quite
ungrateful.
profound. Yeah, because he said, when Sansa said, "What is it that you want?" and he said, "Everything."
So it can't be money.
No, because he had that from the Lannisters.
It must be power.
Must be some kind of other power. Olenna must be willing to give him everything. Not like that.
Although she's very,
Very good.
Olenna also hinted to Marjorie that she was in some way responsible for Joffrey's death as well. She says that Tyrion didn't commit the murder. Any thoughts on that? And she was kind of playing with the necklace as she said it as well.
Yeah, she clearly had a hand in it, and it seemed like Marjorie had no idea.
No,
Marjorie
she was shocked.
Totally surprised. Yeah.
It was a good moment though. Marjorie went to visit Tommen in his chambers. For our little secret.
This was hideous.
No, she didn't go for the tongue, just went for a little peck on the head, so it's OK. She's going the softly approach.
Perfectly respectable.
But there's going to be some conflict there with Tywin, who thinks he's now got Tommen just where he wants him, and now Marjorie's going to come sneaking in there, trying to mould him into her own devious ways.
Tywin's using, like, almost paternal advice, and she's using, disgustingly, sex. She was flirting over the cat. That's wrong.
Yeah, we didn't even use the obvious joke there either. Well done, Sir Pounce. Jon Snow, he's training the Night's Watch. He's getting ready for war. He gets told off, though, reminded that he's just a steward, kind of put in his place there.
That's right. So this is Sir Alistair Thorne, who's always had it in for him right from the beginning.
He's never liked him.
No, he's got a real chip on his shoulder, wants to bring him down a peg or two. It sort of backfired because then little did he know that Jon Snow is the Night's Watch answer to Braveheart.
Oh, there was a good Spartacus moment, wasn't there? They all stood up slowly but surely.
Yeah, it was very inspirational speaking.
Who's the baddie? Remind me, the baddie that looks like he
Locke.
runs a burger joint in Shoreditch.
He does. This is Locke.
Yeah.
So he's the guy who cut off Jamie's hand. He's the guy who threw Brienne in the bear pit.
Yeah, OK. So he's got enemies there.
Yeah, but he's working for Roose Bolton, who's trying to take over the North. He must be a spy or a double agent or something.
Well, maybe he's working for Sir Alistair Thorne, make sure that Jon Snow doesn't come back from Craster's Keep.
Could well be.
Who knows? It's a hard, cold fact that social media was created specifically for theorising on Game of Thrones, and who are we to argue? Help us out by tweeting us at Thronecast or on facebook.com/Thronecast. We love the comments, the arguments, and wild, spurious finger-pointing. That's what this show is all about. Keep them coming, please. So everything seems to be leading north, but we don't actually know that much about it from a geographical or location point of view. So I need you, Rachel, the clever one, to talk me through where Craster's Keep is and what other locations do we know north of the wall?
Well, the reason that we don't know that much about it is because the land of always winter is basically uncharted territory.
Right.
One of the places we do know is the Frostfang Mountains. They've got like jagged peaks, like fangs. And there we've got the Fist of the First Men.
Fist of the First Men in Frostfang Mountains. It's
names.
awesome.
And this is a hilltop plateau. It's been like a natural fortification for thousands and thousands of years.
Have we seen any of these locations already? We have seen a couple of them.
The Fist of the First Men is where Sam found the obsidian, the dragon glass weapons.
Oh, OK, right, yeah.
We've got the Haunted Forest, which is just at the top
OK.
here. There's the Weirwood Tree there, which is where the Night Watch take their vows.
OK, and the Weirwood trees, they're the similar ones to the ones that Bran kind of touched and got his vision.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
he's kind of heading for some tree somewhere.
Yeah.
Where's Craster's Keep? Do we know where that is?
So Craster's Keep is just north of there, and
Yeah.
this, of course, is where in this episode the action was all taking place.
Yeah. The best characters from this episode was that guy drinking wine out of the skull.
Yeah, this was Carl Tanner from Gin Alley.
OK, he was great. The best character of the show, I thought.
Really sinister, drinking wine from Lord Commander Mormont's skull, which...
Like Marquis Smith drinking a can of special brew, wasn't it? It was great.
Yeah.
So is he taking over Craster now? Is it
It seems like it, doesn't it?
no longer Craster's Keep, but Tanner's Hide?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a bullseye.
Raven brings to sight.
Seeing things that haven't happened yet.
Things that happened long before you were born, or things that are happening right now, thousands of miles away.
You have the sight too.
He appeared out of the forest with his sister Mira. He's the mysterious boy who has come to help Bran find his true path. It's Jojen Reed. Thomas Brodie Sangster, Jojen Reed, welcome to Thronecast.
Thank you.
He's been quite a mysterious character so far. Does that continue?
Yes. Yes, it does.
Still very good.
There's still lots of lines of kind of half suggesting things, and I think you get the sense that he is genuine and he does truly care about Bran and sees that he is a very important person, and it's hard to tell how much he actually knows and how much
Constant
he just doesn't
hints.
want to let on. He's constantly hinting at stuff, which is quite fun to play because you don't know because I don't even know what it means.
Yeah.
So you just play it a bit kind of...
What do I mean?
Yeah.
Do you think he's been sent to protect, to guide Bran through his journey?
Yes, very much so. I think he knows that it's very, very important that Bran does whatever he has to do or gets to wherever he has to get in order to fulfill what he is destined to fulfill.
Can we trust Jojen, or is he driven by a darker force, a darker intention?
He kind of leaves it quite open. I think Bran just pretty much from the get-go trusts him, and it is in season 3, and it's people like Osha that don't. And I think there's just an understanding between Bran and Jojen that is just instant. I think the viewers can trust him as well, but I like the fact that, at least in season 3 anyway, you're not quite sure whether you should, especially the opening when I'm coming out the forest and there's all smoking and stuff, and you don't know who the hell this person is. By season 4, you definitely can trust him, and you can see that his health is deteriorating, but yet he's still with this group and persisting and going for it, despite the fact that he's getting quite ill now.
He says in series 3 that nowhere is safe from the White Walkers or the Army of the Dead. Does he intend to stop the White Walkers? And if so, how?
Personally, I don't think he personally intends to stop them. I think he accepts that they're quite an unstoppable force for him. Maybe the door's open for Bran, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's part of the mission of where we're going, or why I have to take him north of the wall. I'm quite in the dark about exactly why as well.
Final question, do you think Jojen is destined for greatness?
It depends on how you see greatness. But yes, I would say so, personally, yeah. In more of a world like King's Landing, where everything's run a lot more by money and by politics, greatness is a very different thing, and a lot of the people on this show are obsessed with getting on the throne.
Yeah.
And therefore, that's greatness. That is
power and money.
Power and money and influence. Whereas something as simple as sacrificing a part of you so that someone else can go on to fulfill their greatness, their destiny. That is greatness in itself, but in a much smaller way that won't go down in the history books and be written about, but is far more great in some ways.
Well, there's more from that exclusive interview online, so head to sky.com/thrones.
After the break, the Game of Thrones cast take us inside the episode.
We talk to our superfans Elio and Linda about that haunting White Walker scene.
There's a sneak peek of next week's episode.
And producer Chris Newman joins us to explain how the heck they get Game of Thrones from paper onto your television screen. Welcome back to Thronecast, the needle to your area on Sky Atlantic HD, the home of Thrones. We join you after every single episode to dissect the tangled world, from how Daenerys' dress stays so clean to why there's so much duck sausage but never any ducks. Interact with our brains at Thronecast or chat on facebook.com/Thronecast. Now, if you've just happened upon Sky Atlantic tonight and are convinced you just watched a horrific documentary about cruelty to dwarves in the Middle Ages, don't panic. Just start from the beginning on demand with Sky, or get all Space Age and watch them on the move with Sky Go. We can't say there's no cruelty, but it's largely justified unless your name is Stark. Now, with 40 years of experience behind the camera, Chris Newman has worked on such classic films as Star Wars, Return of the Jedi and The Phantom Menace, Notting Hill, Superman 2 and 3, Brazil, The Dark Crystal, Sleepy Hollow, and for television, Band of Brothers, and since the beginning he's been a producer on Game of Thrones. Chris, welcome to Thronecast.
Thank you very much.
How's that throne feel?
It doesn't fit.
It doesn't fit anybody. No. I can't even begin to imagine how you begin planning the production of Game of Thrones. Where do you start?
Every year, at the beginning of the year, and that includes year one, we get an outline of what the 10 scripts will be, and we slowly chip away at how we're going to do it and where we're going to do it. And that evolves eventually, and has evolved after 4 seasons, going into 5, a way of working with 2 units and in multiple countries. I think developing it from scratch, we've managed to get into it in a slow way. Yeah. So season 1 wasn't so involved, and we've developed this method over the years.
It's like a well-oiled machine, all jostling in position.
It's certainly a big machine. It's a fantastic thing that we've created, and the crew there are just brilliant.
And how big is the crew? How big is the production team? There must be hundreds of you.
Well, I think the figure 700 is mentioned as a permanent crew. Obviously, it can go up and down if we're in other countries.
And we heard that in Belfast you went right off the beaten track. Were you like creating your own roads and things like that?
Yes, we have. We've obviously gone and scouted places the directors would like to shoot, and sometimes we've managed to walk to places, but you can't get a wheel to that place.
Right.
So the location department, who this year won the American Location Managers Award of the Year, they actually beat everybody else. So good for them. So we choose somewhere, and if the director wants to go there and we can actually make it work, then yes, we can build a road. Wow. If the authorities will let us, we'll put a bulldozer through something and find a way. Yeah.
And how is it that you came to shoot in Iceland? Were there any alternatives before you started shooting there?
Well, on season 1 we were thinking where we could go, and I'd worked over in Iceland before and knew the people there and shot in glaciers. If you want to shoot snow in the middle of the summertime, the best thing to do is to go where it's permanent, which is ice cap. And so that was the plan. We just developed it. We went a bit later than we thought we would, and the snow not only covered the glaciers but all the mountains too.
In that kind of weather and in those conditions, are you working against the clock and against the weather all the time?
The biggest thing we fight is the amount of daylight.
Oh, of course.
Midwinter, we've got 5 hours of daylight. On season 2, we actually went on to the ice cap, which meant that on the glacier, which means all the crew are wearing crampons,
Wow.
metal spikes on their shoes. So you can just so you can stay upright.
Yeah.
And the actors have underneath their dress costumes, they've got little spikes on their shoes as well, so they can stay.
It sounds quite scary, quite dangerous.
Well, there's an element of danger. We have a great deal of safety. We have specialists with us, and everybody has to stay in one group. Nobody can go off solo around the glacier, otherwise you can go down.
There's White Walkers out there, for goodness sake.
There is all sorts of dangers, yes.
Now, I've got to ask you, the episode that we've just watched, the last kind of scene, I guess you were responsible for, because that was snow, we had White Walkers, the whole kit and caboodle. Now, bit of fandom here. You did Superman as well.
Yes.
How much of the Fortress of Solitude did you put into that last
Well,
scene? Because we saw there were quite a lot of visual references to Superman.
I mean, it's very hard to do anything in an ice environment and avoid Fortress of Solitude.
Yeah.
There's no way. I don't think that wouldn't have some impact. The trick is, I suppose, is making sure people don't naturally. They're so caught up in the story that it doesn't become, doesn't become the thing you think about.
Sure.
We also wanted to make sure that the White Walkers, there was some significant for this ritual that they, is revealed with the baby, that they're not going to end up just in a white, field. It had to have some importance. But also, I think you also don't want to know too much about the lifestyle of the White Walkers. That has to be a mystery. Your imagination is much more does much more work if you just show a little bit. How
much of that scene was done post-production? Was that all green screen, or did you actually have guys out there?
We did. We filmed. We built a very large green screen this year, which had many uses. I mean, 2 principal action uses. One is the scene we've just seen. So what you want to do with visual effects like that is to have the surface people walk on to be correct and not have to change it.
Yeah.
So that means fake snow.
Yeah.
And then the green screen has to be quite big so you can get wide shots and keep everybody on the green.
Well, those dudes' makeup then? I thought they were CGI completely. Are they actual actors in?
There's actors in those suits.
Wow.
And then of course there is enhancements done.
Yeah.
But we do fully dress somebody up completely in a silicone
Can we get me a White Walker's
suit.
outfit?
So
can we get one of those in, please?
You can't wear it on here. Stop asking.
Or just one of those horses. just one of them
yeah,
horses.
the horses don't look well. But,
No.
They've seen better days. Well, thank you very, very much, Chris. That's fantastic.
You're very welcome.
Time to go inside this week's episode, Oathkeeper, and Daenerys is dealing out justice.
This city is yours. All these people are your subjects now. Sometimes it is better to answer injustice with mercy.
I will answer injustice with justice.
The crucifixion of the children has struck a chord in her that has clouded any kind of helpful leadership values she may have in there. I think that it's such a horrific sight.
And there's a bit of a difference of opinion in that Daenerys thinks that, okay, there were 160-odd kids hanging on crosses on the way into Meereen, so therefore she should crucify 160 masters. He actually advises against that because he says, this is actually not going to do you any favors.
She spends so much of her time ignoring the innate femininity that's within her and spends so much time being a strong woman within a man's world that I think that she convinces herself that what she's doing is what any commander would do, but actually it's not what a good leader would do.
Lots of stuff for Daenerys to think about there, I believe. Now, who the hell was that frightening demon character at the end? Not the White Walker on the horse with the baby in the papoose.
No, the sort of snow priest character.
Kind of had a bone crown, almost like a Joffrey ghost. Elio and Linda, can you help us out with this, please?
Well, for once, we're kind of in the dark as well, because this is not something we have encountered in the books, so far at least. But he does seem to be something of a leader or something.
We've scuppered them, finally.
Yes, indeed.
This will never happen again.
So has this been, this isn't anything that's in the books, this is something that's been embellished for the TV show? A whole new character?
Yes, if we consider it a character, it might just be basically a nameless walker leader, but there's been hints of what we see here, that they turn the children, Craster's sons, into White Walkers as well.
So is that how they're bolstering their army?
Yeah, that does seem to be one way that they are recruiting new members, at least.
So they're turning the baby into a white. What are these guys? Are they slaves? Are they zombies? Are they an army?
Well, I think the child was actually being turned into a walker as well, actually, not into a white. Now, the whites are definitely zombies. They are the animated dead. And as we saw, not just dead people, they can turn dead animals like horses into their servants, basically.
Could you give us a brief history of the White Walkers, where they've come from? I remember old Nan told Bran way back in season 1.
Yeah, certainly. Old Nan's story of the Long Night, which was supposed to be a generation-long winter, a winter where men were said to, children were reborn and grow to adults and die as old men before seeing the sun again. There was a war against the White Walkers who came from the heart of winter far to the north,
And in the end, that war was won by humanity, who barely survived, and the Night's Watch was founded, and basically the wall was raised as a way to prevent the walkers from coming down and bothering the realms of men again.
And is that sort of lost in legend? Do we know how long ago that was, or is it more of a myth?
There is sort of an 8,000-year figure thrown around, but it's hard to know for sure when you go that far back what exactly we're talking about.
Blimey.
And why haven't the White Walkers attacked yet? We know that they're really close to the wall. John said that Crastus is about 60 miles, but they haven't attacked them.
They might be planning something specific, but obviously it could be something to the legend as well, that, you know, the wall was raised with magic, with the help of the giants and the children of the forest, and it is supposed to be a defense against them. So maybe they're waiting for something to happen before they get closer to the wall.
But if the White Walkers, will they bring the end of the world as we know it? Do they have that power?
That's a good question, but you know, George once teased that the last book was going to be 800 pages of snow blowing over everyone's graves. So it could be that when winter is coming, it's really coming.
Whoa.
Thank you very much, Elio and Linda. That's it for this week. You can go online now to see our exclusive uncut interviews with the cast. Go to sky.com/thrones.
Game of Thrones returns to Sky Atlantic HD next Monday night from 9 p.m. And in the meantime, you can get your fix with seasons 1 to 4 on demand or with Sky Go. Now it's that time again.
OK, look away now if you don't want to see a teaser of next week's episode, First of His Name.
8,000 Unsullied, 2,000 Second Sons.
Would that be enough to take King's Landing?
One stone crumbles and another takes its place.
He sits the throne like he was born to it. Why does he feel responsible for you? What wife would do for you the things I've done for you?
The hell you doing?
You mustn't let anything stop you.
We move at sundown.